She's so she's doing well with that. I think chasing her grandchild. Yeah. She's on it. Somebody got my baby.
Huh?
Somebody got my baby.
No, you got a bunch of them, you know.
I know, I gave them to you. Hey, you got that too? That's my kid.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
I was wondering where it come from.
Now we do food future.
Well, you should try to keep them rights.
Yeah, I know, me too.
You know.
Mr. Trotter.
Sounded just like
Hey. See, how's he? What's that? How you doing? I looked at the reports. Well, we lost. Anyway, I put in 1 or 2, and I'm looking for that is like commission 1, 2. I would have 6. But now, you know, you got all that on. You can dig it out. But we are going to get back to money. We actually talked about that this week.
Come on.
yeah, that's all.
All right, it's 10 o'clock, so we're going to call this administrative meeting to order. Great crowd today. Excited everybody here. See one of my old high school football coaches. Always good to see Coach Tatum. What he's always been to me. So
Showing his age.
yeah. Anyway, thank y'all for coming here. I was telling Commissioner Herring, I feel like I'm a little out of practice. This is the first meeting that we've had in a while, so y'all bear with me if I goof up anywhere. Before we get started, I want to ask our EMA Director, Mark Powell, to come up and brief us. I think we've got a couple of weather situations moving through and ask you to give us an update.
Okay, good morning. Happy New Year.
Morning.
So really what's coming is we have 2 rounds. We have one that's going to come tomorrow night and one that's going to come Monday night. And from what they're saying right now, and the National Weather Service does a great job projecting these things, but right now they're showing Friday is a marginal risk, which is a 1 out of 5 for severe weather. So they're projecting 1 to 2 inches of rain, tornadoes possible, but it's on that lower end. And then Monday, they're showing a slight risk, which is a 2 out of 5, and they project that to go up. So even right now, on Thursday, they're saying they already are pretty sure we're going to have tornado, hail, and 2 to 3 inches of rain. So tornadoes are possible, and they project that risk to go up to maybe even a moderate risk by Monday. And really the biggest concern on this is not just the severe weather, but the timing and what time it's going to come through. So Friday, what they're projecting right now, tomorrow night, is in the 8 p.m. range into about 4 in the morning when we're going to have the weather. And then Monday, it looks like midnight is going to come in until Tuesday at lunch. So the concern there is the notification and awareness of the public, when that happens. So really, I want to kind of pitch again our app. We have a Code Red app that can get alerts. We also have a just kind of EMA app that we made flyers for. I left some on the side table, and we're kind of in the last couple of months been really pitching that as a campaign of getting people to download that. And the reason being is, a weather siren, and some people may be used to hearing the weather siren, or maybe even an accidental activation of a weather siren, is that it's just an audible warning. It's just a noise. But the thing about that app is, it can give you information. We can tell you, if it's in a watch stage, it's in a warning stage, which, for everybody's, people used to get confused on this, but a watch just means those conditions are favorable. A warning means it's happening. And sometimes what happens is we don't have that step up. We don't have the watch first and then the warning, severe weather, and it doesn't really step up that way. Like the tornado they had a few weeks ago in Geneva, it went from nothing. We didn't have a severe thunderstorm warning and we had a tornado warning. So I would just recommend that everybody please download our app, go to our website. We have an updated website that's a lot easier to navigate. And that's the biggest thing I want people to be aware of is that awareness and information with that. So.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for the update. All right. Under presentation, we have the FY 2023 Houston County Rebuild Alabama Annual Report. That'll be Road and Bridge. Barkley, will you or Tyler be doing that one?
Yeah, I will. It's
Okay.
it's really just a notice.
Gotcha. That we're required, this is what we're required by law to do. Okay. Yeah, people always ask, and I've seen, comments in the media and of course online where everybody's an expert, by the way. Why don't the county or the city or whoever they're complaining about tell us what they're doing with this money, like the gas tax, and that's what this is. And well, we do. But as you can see here today, we don't have any media. They may or may not be here on Monday. I know we've got some upgrades to our website to make it easier to get some information out there, and that hopefully we'll get that new website launched this month or next. And we try to be active on social media, but we can't make people pay attention. We can't make people watch the news. So, but anyway, that's this is required by law, which we need to do it anyway.
And it's just be a report of the work we did last year.
Yeah.
Every dollar was spent, for road that was on.
Yeah. And accountable.
Yeah.
And accountable.
And,
Any questions on this item? No. All right, any objection to placing this item on the agenda for Monday?
No objection.
Item number, moving on to the regular agenda, we have a request to adopt resolution allocating American Rescue Plan Act revenue replacement funds for construction of a communications fiber loop project. Mr. Peter Cover.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This, we have finally been able to get a contractor to bid on this project. Frankly, he's begun a little work in it already, but now that we finally have a contract with a vendor in an amount that was conditionally allocated or earmarked, I think is the term that's been used for this project. I'm asking the commission for this resolution so that we can move forward and have this.
And this, we've allocated or earmarked 500,000 of our ARPA funding for this project. I think initially this come in, was it a bid or an estimate we got for almost $1 million or something like that? So we had to scale it back. The new bid is 574, 411.99. So there'll be some funds that we'll have to pay out of the general fund to cover the gap, but law enforcement tells us that we need it, and I agree with them that we do. So we have the funds, $500,000 that we can put towards it. So I think we need to do it. But any questions on this item for Mr. Covert or for Major Rafferty?
Yeah, this is approved on Monday. What would be the projected start date?
They actually have commenced. They've located a lot of their building materials out at the Road and Bridge location. There's a secured site out there for them to stage, and they have actually commenced the work. This has been negotiated and worked through with Poly Engineering, who helped us both with the design and the modified designs for this plan to make sure that the needs of the county, specifically the sheriff's department, jail, and EMA are met, as well as within the allowable funds that the commission has allocated for this purpose.
Any other questions? All right, any objection to placing this item on the agenda for Monday?
No objection.
Item number 2 is a request to award bid for 2023 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 to lowest bidder meeting specs. Major Rafferty, I don't know if you have comments on this, but if you do, you're welcome to come up. I know had to raise the estimate. I know we talked about this recently. Remind me what we discussed.
Yes, sir. We budgeted $45,000 for a vehicle this year. Unfortunately, there was no vehicles available as far as police package through Chevy, Ford. So we requested a adjustment in the pay up to $60,000. It was a $15,000 budget amendment. We sent bids out based on what law requires. We had 3 vendors respond back.
Good.
Solomon Chevrolet here in Dothan, Donahue Chevrolet, and Bonnie's Ford. Solomon Chevrolet and Donahue met the specs that was sent out. We're requesting to approve Solomon Chevrolet at $50,188.20,
Okay.
which come in not quite 10,000 under
Okay.
what we had approved.
Gotcha. All right, any questions on this item? Any objection to placing this item on the agenda for Monday?
No objection.
All right, thank you. Item number 3 is a request to appropriate 10% of SSUT to Houston County School System and authorize chairman to negotiate and sign a memorandum of understanding. I know there's going to be some discussions, some questions on this, but I'll get things started. So I have been in discussions with school board and with Superintendent White. Thank you for being here today, about funding for our school systems for probably a year, close to a year. And they have made it known to me very clearly of the critical need for additional funding for our education system. And I have seen that need firsthand as I've visited the schools. I have seen that need firsthand as it relates to economic development, because I have had conversations that have had with business leaders that have had people come and prospective executives to move to this area. And they come down and they visit our schools and they see the state of our schools and they say, well, looks like a nice community, but I'm not putting my kids in these schools. And then they move back north. And that's a true story, by the way. I'm not making that up. So, you know, I sit and we sit at a unique place in the county where we have the education community, we have the teachers, we know the parents, we have to work with law enforcement, we have to work with business, we have to work with the healthcare community, we have to pave the roads, we have to take care of the ditches. And so at that perspective, you see how everything can kind of tie together. Our job, as far as I'm concerned, is to build a community where people can grow and flourish and do their best work. And that does not exist without a quality education system. And what we lack in spending in education, I think we more than make up spending in the jail. And I think the state does the same thing in spending with our prisons. So we've got to do a better job of providing a better future for our children. And so that's why this is on the agenda today. Local funding for education, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, is woefully inadequate as it relates to education. I know, gentlemen, we have had very difficult budgets. We had a very difficult budget this year. We were able to get some things accomplished. We fully funded the wage study. We were able to add $2 billion to road and bridge for the resurfacing of roads. That dropped our replacement rate for the roads from every 100 years to every 30 years. Now, certainly we know that the roads are not going to last 100 years, but this may be news to some people here. The roads aren't going to last 30 years either. So we did a great job in getting that done. but we are still behind as it relates to roads. So I say that to say 10% of SSUT is a tremendous sacrifice for this county to try to make. And that may not seem like a whole lot. And I know that the education certainly needs a whole lot more, but it is a tremendous sacrifice because we are giving away money, proposing to give away money, quite honestly, that we need, and we need a whole lot more. We've got to build a new jail. We've got to expand the jail in a couple of years. How are we going to pay for that? I mean, I've got some ideas, and we have a work session coming up. But I feel like 10% of a pot of money that will continue to grow over time, and hopefully we can work out a long-term funding mechanism. I think it's, although it is a sacrifice, I think it's a sacrifice that's worth making. And I think it's one that we can afford as much as possible. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, the school system needs a whole lot more than the money that we're proposing to give. And I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell everybody here, and I'd say the same thing to the Dothan City School Board. The funding that is required to solve the lack of funding in education is not in our power to give to you. We do not have it in our budget to give you everything that you need. It does not exist. If we were to give you what you would need, we would have to raise taxes so that we could properly fund the roads. We would have to raise taxes so that we could build a jail. We may have to do that anyway, quite frankly. So if you need more money, I think the school education community is going to have to propose a better solution. But I think this gets the ball rolling. I know this is not what you need, but I do believe that this is a start. And I feel like this is something that we can afford to do. And I charged Peter with looking at the numbers because I'm an ideas person. I don't mind telling you, I've got a lot of great ideas, but this man right here tells us what we can afford and what we can't afford. And I charged him. I didn't give him an amount. I said, Peter, I need you to tell me something that would be significant, but that at the same time is not going to cut off our arm and cause us problems down the road. So this is the number that he come back. Like I said, we can discuss whether this number goes up. I know there's been some discussions whether this number should go up over time. And I think as the SSUT grows, I think that number will go up. So anyway, with that being said, I know there's gonna be some questions and comments, so I'll open it up to the commission for either of those.
I'll go first. I'm good with that.
Commissioner, yep.
Superintendent White, I got a few questions for you, if you don't mind. And this is just to help me understand where we are, but also let the public know. And, you know, so now we got media here and everything else. So I just got some questions to ask so I can understand better. And I know you and I have talked several months ago about the SSUT and money that y'all are needing and so forth. But so what is the, what's the budget for these county schools? Total budget?
Approximately $78 million.
78 million. Okay. And how much money is needed for the Houston County schools to operate?
I would say for us to operate and
Successfully,
at
what
the
you need to
rate that we're growing,
Mhm.
I would say you're probably looking at $7 to $8 million a year for us to be more comfortable
Okay.
doing that. And that would allow us bonding ability to continue to build.
Right.
Because we gained about 700 students over the last 3 years.
Mhm.
And in that 3 years, if you look at it, each time we gain, for instance, last year, we gained 247 students. That's about 16 teacher units that are not funded for that first year. And so as much as I appreciate the 10%, it'll cover 2.5 of those.
Right.
And so we're stuck with the rest. Like, you know, our property tax, where it is this year, just to meet our match locally, we're gonna have to come up with $1.3 million.
Mhm.
We're one of the only systems in the state, or there's less than 10% that don't get 100% of at least 1 cent. We get 70%,
Mhm.
and Road and Bridge gets the other 30.
Right.
And Henry County gets 100%, Dale County gets 100%, Geneva County gets 100%, all of those get 100%. And so, you know, again, I appreciate anything that you can do, but that kind of puts things into perspective of, you know, anytime you look at the systems that are not getting 100%, it is a very poor system that's getting a lot of federal funding. We're not getting federal funding either. So that puts us low on both ends, and it puts us at the very bottom every year.
Gotcha.
And so, again, you know, this is your future workforce that you're investing in, you know, and I know, I understand where y'all are coming from. Everybody's got their hand out. We're in a unique situation in our county. We've got 5 high schools. There's almost no way to consolidate because of the area that we cover. You would have kids on the bus an hour and a half, 2 hours. Well, where Dothan has 1 head football coach, we've got 5. Where they've got 1 band director, we've got 5. You know, it's just more expense. So where we get less funding, we also have more expense. And I don't think people realize the unique situation there. You know, I will say, you know, the good thing about it is we've got good people. And those people have had to make up for some of our inadequacies as far as resources, and they've done that. But they see the difference. They see the difference in the funding that others are getting. And so I would like for the commission to consider something more in the future with the SSUT, because this is money that if it were brick and mortar sales, we would at least be getting 70%. And it's money that before 2014, the commission was not getting. So that's been growing. The percentage of SSUT compared to brick and mortar sales has been growing. It's money we're going to continue to lose while we're growing.
Okay. And how much money does Houston County Schools receive yearly from the Education Trust Fund?
It depends. Some of that's supplemental. We're not guaranteed that any year.
Okay.
We're not guaranteed that any year.
So it's not a percentage, and I'm just asking for my percentage of maybe how many students you have or the area you're in, or how much you would get from the Education Trust Fund?
It varies every year. For instance, last year, we didn't receive any from advancement technology. The years before that, we received somewhere in the $1.5 to $3 million range. And that was for, you know, technology, security cameras, you know, those type of things.
Okay. And can you tell me what the money would be used for of the SSUT? What are the things you're needing it for? What is the money for?
Facilities is our main.
Facilities? Okay. For you.
Right now, we still have children in trailers, portables. And again, you say that roads don't last 30 years. They
Right.
don't last 100 years. Our school buildings don't last 100 years either, but we're using 100-year-old buildings.
Right.
And it takes a lot of maintenance on those buildings. And we've been having to do patch jobs forever. But at some point, those buildings are going to have to be replaced. And right now, we can't even afford to patch them or add on. So, I mean, we're in a mess. And like he said, you know, when you walk through our buildings, I mean, you wouldn't believe what our scores are when you walk through and see what our buildings look like. You know, you take Rehoboth Elementary and Primary last year, you know, we would have 200 students in one mini gym. And so you talk about overcrowded jails, it's nothing compared to our schools.
Right.
Nothing.
Yeah. Okay. So you see the need, as we see the need, that we need revenue all across, whether it's in education, whether it's county commission, whatever it is, for our roads, for our public safety. I mean, you see the need that we've got to figure out and generate some revenue somehow to get us above that threshold where we need to
Yes.
be.
And I would ask the commission this, when we decide on a way to generate that revenue, I don't want the school system to be on an island by itself.
Sure.
I don't want us to have to take on that burden, because if I look back, if we weren't losing that 30%, and we were also getting the money from the SSU tax, if all of that was going to the schools like that 30% was originally meant to, we wouldn't need extra money right now. We would have been able to take care of those things throughout these years, and we wouldn't be in the situation we were. So because we're needing the money because of what's happened in the past, I don't want us to be the ones saying, hey, we need more money because we can't make it. we're gonna need some help
Sure.
from the commission.
Yeah, I think it's a collaborative effort, of course, from all of us.
Yes.
We sit in a position that we've all got to stand up at some point and realize that, hey, this is what we've got to do
But I
to move
just-
our future forward.
I just don't want that burden to be on the educators. I don't
Sure.
think it should be for.
I don't think it should be either.
And another thing that we're gonna be looking at next year, if something happens with school choice,
Mhm.
they're estimating that when that's fully implemented, it will take $700 million a year out of the education trust fund.
Mhm.
And so we'll even lose that supplemental that we're getting.
Right. Okay. And y'all been getting 500,000 from the county commission for how long?
I think since the agreement was made that they would get 30%. I think
That was back in the early nineties
from
sometime.
what I understand, late 80s, early 90s, when they said, you know, when we renew this, we're taking 30%, they agreed to give $500,000 a year.
Okay.
Back during the Crowder days.
Back then, gotcha. Okay.
So far back that goes.
All right. Well, thank you. That's all the questions I have for you. I appreciate it.
Any other questions or
Go
comments?
back to where you said that Houston County school system does not receive any federal funding.
I didn't say we don't receive any federal funding. We're low on federal funding compared to other systems. And so that's why we end up being one of the lowest funded systems. 2 years ago, out of 67 county systems, we ranked 67. And, you know, we were 59 the next year. We're gonna be somewhere between that this year. So we'll be in the 60-something range out of 67 counties. But it's because we're almost at the bottom on local funding. But on federal funding, we're low compared to most other systems too. We're not considered a poor system.
What's the calculation on that, the reason that Houston County is not receiving as much funding?
Because it's based on poverty level. And so they do that study every year based on free and reduced lunch. And they send out the amount. I'm not sure how that calculation works.
I have a question, Chairman. Superintendent, in a perfect world, what would you be asking for right now from the SSUT right now?
Perfect world.
Perfect world.
All of it.
That's all of
Hey,
it.
that's all.
But,
Of course.
Yeah.
but now I look at it, if that were brick and mortar sales right now, we'd be getting 70%. That's what we would be getting.
Okay,
And to be fair, and when I talked to Chairman Shoup, and again, I'm trying to take into consideration your needs too, I did ask for 50%. And that would put us in a position to be able to take another bond issue to take care of some of these facility needs. Right now, when we do a 1-year deal, that gives us no bonding power.
I got you.
And probably the amount that we would net in this looks like it's gonna be somewhere around the 275,000 mark after everything's done. That's not gonna give us a whole lot of bonding power either to do classrooms. Right now, we're doing 8 classrooms at Cottonwood, and it's costing us over $5 million. We tried to do some of the smaller projects ourselves. Our maintenance crew has done that. We've saved a ton of money doing that. But the larger projects, we're not capable of handling something to that magnitude.
I'm just like Chairman and Rick. I'm a big fan. Also, I work for Dothan School System, so I understand finances. So y'all represent Houston County tremendously. I want to say that.
Yeah, y'all do a tremendous job. And I know the facilities, and I've said this before, and I've said this to you, and I've said it publicly. This is not a secret. The facilities definitely need an upgrade, but the teachers that we have and the people that we have teaching our students, wouldn't trade them for anybody. Some of the best, if not in Alabama, the best, if not in the United States, the best in Alabama.
Your teachers and support, they don't make a lot of money. You know, we watch a lot of other systems around, you know, get Christmas bonuses and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, we're not able to do that.
Yeah.
And morale means a lot when you're working with kids. You know, $500 is not a lot of money, but around Christmas time, it helps those people. And it helps morale. And again, I think the morale at our schools and, you know, what they've done has shown good results. But again, it hurts me as the leader not to be able to do some of those things for our county when we see all the other counties capable of doing that.
Absolutely.
So Superintendent, 50% will get you where you need to be.
50% would get us by for right now. Until we can look on at further revenue.
But 70% would be ideal.
70% would be ideal.
That was just the internet was never invented.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? I do have a few. Commissioner Harvey?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
As far as future revenue, do we have an idea of what we may look at, or those for later discussions?
Yeah, we'll need to have
As far
some
as,
discussions. I wanted to get this one on the table and off the table, quite frankly. And then we'll move forward with further discussions. I know we have a meeting in a couple of weeks at the Chamber of Commerce with our local delegation that may bear fruit. We'll see how that goes. I guess a couple of comments I have based on what I know the 1 penny sales tax, that deal was made before any of us were in office. If
and
we,
I've been very clear about that. when I
Yeah.
talked about it.
if we were to give the county schools the entirety of the penny, that would gut Road and Bridge. We wouldn't be able to pave anything. We wouldn't be able to replace, we'd have to lay off a lot of people. So that is impossible. The SSUT was championed by the counties because in 2014, we had funding issues, and it just so happened that so did the state. The state, some people with the state come to the counties and needed a solution, and we actually had one. It was SSUT. And so I'm speaking to you, and I'm speaking to your board as well, because I do see how this stuff is interconnected. So I'm challenging you, and I'm challenging your board to come up with a solution. Because like I said, it is not in our power to give you what you need or give you what you want, certainly give you what you need. So my challenge is for y'all to come up with a solution, and whether that's at a local level or whether that's at a state level. Gambling is an opportunity. I think that's a big potential opportunity. I don't know the state of your association at the state level. But I would initiate those, I hope I'm speaking for the commission. I mean, we want to stand shoulder to shoulder with you and help you get what you need, because the quality of what you put out affects our ability to grow the economy. It affects our ability to hire work and to contract work, and keeps that labor affordable. So anyway, let's work together and let's find a solution.
And, yeah, and I was gonna say, I would like, not only for our board to look at solutions, but I would like us to collaboratively look at solutions. I don't want it to just be our board, because again, like you said, you have needs too.
Yeah.
And they are interconnected. And so I would like for us to put our heads together, and when this is put out, everybody be on the same page.
Yeah, I'd be glad to do that. Yeah. But y'all got to step up and do it. And we'll be there with you. We cannot do it for you.
Okay.
Cannot do it for you. So,
Mhm.
Any other final thoughts or questions?
I don't have anything for Superintendent White.
Okay, all right. So we're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Comments?
Yeah, I got a few more questions to ask them. Barkley, I got a question for you. As far as our roads go and our budget this past time, how much was your budget cut this past budget?
Initially it was cut 750,000, and then we cut 5 million in equipment out of it.
Okay. And how much manpower was cut?
One person was cut,
So one position was cut.
yes.
Okay. And as far as paving our roads right now and clipping our roads, are we on track where we need to be?
No,
No?
no, we're not even close.
So how much, estimated wise, how much would it cost us to get our roads where they need to be?
The last budget, we did our presentation, it was $100 million in paving that's needed doing in the next 10 years. Are we gonna be, the comments been made about picking which roads fail? We're gonna be picking which roads fail and turn back to dirt. And that's gonna happen.
And where would most of those roads be?
Commissioner Adams District.
District 2 over towards Ashford, that area?
You need $5 million a year. That's what you've told me in the past, correct? To be able to keep up.
That's to keep up with that 100 million, that's to get half of that 100 million done, to get half of it done.
Mhm.
And when we're saying we're going to a 30-year cycle, That's a 30-year cycle on roads that are 25 years old.
Mhm.
That's not new roads that are 30 years old. That's paving a 25-year-old road in 30 years.
Mhm.
So the math don't add up.
The math don't math.
We get enough tax money to pave about 7 or 8 miles a year, and we have 850 miles of paving.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
you know, you do the math, it just does not add up.
And that jail expansion is not gonna be cheap either, and that, we will do it, or it will be done for us, and we'll be handed a bill,
Yeah.
is what's gonna happen at some point in the future.
So, okay, thank you for answering those questions.
Yes, sir.
Mhm. And then, Major Everett, I got a few for you for the sheriff's office. And I'm just letting y'all know transparently where we're at, so you know.
Can I add one more thing?
You can have one.
The 2 million that was added now was also added because it was revenue generated in road and bridge.
Right.
So that $2 million was generated by our crews doing work.
Mhm.
So just, you know,
Okay,
Major?
all right. Major, how much was your budget cut this year at the sheriff's office?
Our budget was cut to 805,000.
805,000. Okay. And, how many positions were you cut at the sheriff's office and the jail? Sheriff's office and jail together?
We were cut one, but we were able to get that back. There's
Okay,
some other funding that came in through the state.
okay, so you got the position back.
We did not lose.
Okay, but you got 805,000 cut in your budget.
That's what.
Okay. How many SROs are in schools now?
We have 10 for our school. And Brandon, you come back up here real quick second. Our schools where we're at right now, Rehoboth has expanded grounds, correct?
Correct.
And we have the elementary, primary on one campus, which used to be the middle and elementary, which we used to have two SROs there. We have one on that whole campus now. We have one at the middle school and one at the high school. We need right now a fourth SRO at Rehoboth Schools to cover those grounds. Wicksburg, well, I think the chairman's children know, that school, my understanding, has really expanded out with things going on up there with new students. And is it safe to say Rehoboth and Wicksburg areas are really expanding as far as population wise, student wise as well?
Major, I appreciate what you're doing. I don't mean to reprimand you, but make sure your comments are towards the commission.
Yes.
Yeah.
The point is, Wicksburg, we need a second SRO. And it's my understanding too, that Ashford, speaking with the SRO up there, you know, the school maybe not be expanding, but the population of students is growing and has. And the same with Cottonwood and, if I'm not mistaken, you stated they're building new buildings down there right now. So for the safety of our kids, for the safety of our teachers, for the safety of those on the campuses, SROs are another option that I feel that some of this money should go to. Would be due for the safety of our kids as well, because the expansion and the sizing of these schools for Houston County. Funding is a big problem all the way across the board, not just the sheriff's department, but the rest of our county, period. We also did a big, approximately $2.2 million cut this year. And the thing is, we need it back, and that's gonna fall on y'all. Understand the school situation. On the law enforcement side, our side is to protect these kids. And that's what, you know, my point is not to take away from the school on funding because they need it. But we need the funding to protect our schools as well.
Ideally, right now, I mean, that would be great, but we don't have enough teachers. I mean, and that's part of the safety of the kids too, you know, hopefully if you have enough and you have maintained what you have, you hopefully don't need the officers. But right now, we wouldn't be able to do anything more than one per campus. I mean, there's absolutely no way that wouldn't happen for us. Again, we continue to grow. You know, ideally, it would be nice to have more, but that's not something that we could tackle right now.
Sure. Okay. Well, that's all I got. I just wanted to, my main thing was is to let everybody think about where we are and what we're doing, because we're gonna have to do something eventually. And we've been struggling with this since I've been a commissioner with revenue. And it's just where we are. So we're all struggling and we've got to have it. We're growing leaps and bounds around here, and we've got to have some revenue to help education the way it needs to be, to be able to help the commission in the roads, the buses right on those roads. I get complaints from bus drivers because the roads have potholes in them or because they're not seem to be unsafe.
Yeah.
You know, our law enforcement's got to be able to get to the schools or get to the people they need to, you know, they've got to be able to travel in a safe manner without flipping their car or something happening to them because they hit a pothole. So there's a lot that we've got to look into and a lot that we need to do, but some big decisions we need to make collaboratively. All of us that are elected, it's just our position we're in. We've got to look at the best interest of our county and what's best for it. So, thank you.
Thank you for the questions. Any final comments?
I guess one more thing, I think, progressively looking forward, and Brandon and I sat down, we talked in length. I think me just, and I've crunched a lot of different numbers, for everybody. And I've been here for quite some time, and to us to progressively move forward for the future, something we really have to think about for everyone and all entities to be complete and right. We are going to have to look at a 0.5% sales tax. And I think that's something that communities need to start really talking about, and something we need to stop avoiding, because if we're really going to make it happen, it has to happen that way. We're going to keep falling behind.
Okay. Well, no matter what we do on Monday, I do look forward to working with you and the board to come up with a more permanent solution. So with that being said, is there any objection to placing this item on the agenda?
No objection.
Item number 4 is a request to sell the following items on Gov Deals: a 2014 International Knuckle Boom 5, how do you pronounce that word? Gradall buckets, and a tire changer. Sanitation and Road and Bridge. Any questions about this item? Any objection to placing this item on the agenda for Monday?
No objection.
No. There being no further business to conduct today, we will adjourn and we will have our regular meeting on Monday at 10 a.m. Thank y'all.